Hello, welcome to the Mythology Manifest. Today's video is going to be about the birth of a very powerful god within Greek mythology who has a bit of a reputation for being a bad boy. The god of war, Ares. With me mentioning his name, I would like to introduce you to Ares the duck. I don't know if you can see it, but it says right here on his shield, "This is Sparta." I know Ares wasn't the patron of Sparta, as that was Athena, and those two despised one another. So I suppose that's just a little bit of irony on my part. I'm going to leave Ares there for now, as a mascot for my videos. And now, on with the story. Hera had just about forgiven Zeus for having Athena out of adultery, and the queen of the gods had just recovered from the humiliation of failing in having a revenge baby who turned out to be the disabled god Hephaestus. She then discovered she was pregnant again, this time with Zeus's child. This filled her with glee, as she believed that Zeus would never cheat on her again if she had his baby. Okay, Hera, if that's what you say. The pregnancy was easy and the birth was smooth for Hera. She birthed the boy, and both she and Zeus were delighted. The boy was healthy and had eyes that were blood red. As gods did, he was already growing at an unnatural rate in order to reach his prime age. Zeus and Hera deliberated for a while and chose a name for their boy. They called him Ares, meaning ruin or pain. A lovely name for a sweet, innocent young baby, don't you think? After giving him that delightful name, the ruler of the cosmos held a ceremony to present him to the world, in front of all living beings, including the other gods, the giants, and the titans who had sided with them in the Titanomachy. No humans were there, however, as they had not yet been created. I like to imagine the presentation as the scene in The Lion King, where Rafiki holds Simba above Pride Rock and presents him to all the other animals. Zeus and Hera were so happy during this that they did not notice two giants in the distance who looked like they were plotting and chuckling together. These two giants were Ephialtes and Otus, who were known as the Alodae, the children of Poseidon and the giantess Iphimedia. Eventually, the crowds drifted away and the presentation of Ares finished, and the gods retreated back to Olympus, where Hera and Zeus placed Ares in a room of his own and went to sleep in theirs. Little did they know that Ephialtes and Otus had been hiding at the bottom of Mount Olympus, waiting for the new prince of the gods to be left alone. When they knew it was safe, the giants snuck up the mountain and through the palace, and eventually found the room of Ares. They grabbed him and quickly ran from Olympus with the newborn into the night. Now, the giants did have a reason why they did this, and that was jealousy. They, and most other giants, believed that they should have been next to rule after the Titans, and they were constantly trying to find new ways to bring about the end of the gods, cause them pain, or just humiliate them. There were a few exceptions to this, one of which being Ephialtes and Otus's mother, Iphimedia, who loved having the gods in charge and actually believed that she loved Poseidon. When Hera and Zeus woke to find that their son had been kidnapped in the night, they were distraught and sent out every resource that they had to try and find him. They had Helios and Selene ride their sun and moon chariots around at all hours searching the skies. Poseidon sent out Cyclops and Hippocampi to search the seas and inform the fish that Ares had been taken. Even Hades released the Furies from the underworld to the real world to search for the lost son of Zeus and Hera. I'm guessing this myth is where Disney got their idea for the opening of Hercules. Ares was lost for a year and none could find him. They didn't even know who they could blame to have taken him. That was until Iphimedia, the Alodae's mother, or in some myths Eriboa, their stepmother, approached the god of travellers, pranksters, and thieves, Hermes. As I said in my last video, the timelines do not fit together very well in Greek mythology, as Hermes was meant to be born in later myths, as were Apollo and Artemis, who feature in this myth. Iphimedia, or Eriboa, told Hermes that her son Ephialtes and Otus had trapped Ares in a bronze jar in a secret cave. She said she had only told them because of her love for Poseidon. Hermes rushed back to Olympus and went straight to Zeus and Hera. Both of them looked like they had not slept in weeks, and they did not look perfect and ethereal, which was very rare for any god. Hermes told them the news and where Ares was, and they picked Apollo and Artemis to go and free him, as they were both very powerful fighters. Apollo and Artemis versus Ephialtes and Otus would be twins versus twins. They sped to the cave with godly speed and forced their way in, both with a bow and arrow as their main weapons, but each carried their own personal arsenal with them. When they first got in, the giant twins were sleeping. The siblings quickly scoured the cave and found a large bronze jar with a fully grown man inside. No, not a man, a god. He wore battle armour and was incredibly muscly. There were faint cracks across the jar where he had hit it with force, but they were slowly fading and fixing themselves. He looked at Apollo and Artemis with his blood-red eyes and mouthed, "Please help me." They both withdrew a sword from thin air and slammed them hard into the bronze jar. It took a few noisy hits, but eventually the jar shattered and the trapped god fell out. He was pale and looked drained. Artemis drew some nectar and ambrosia from the air, the food of the gods, and gave it to him, but as he ate, he passed out. Apollo and Artemis looked at each other before beginning to lift Ares, readying to carry him back to Olympus. They turned and were greeted by the sight of Ephialtes and Otus blocking their way. The noise of the smashing of the bronze jar had awoken them from their sleep. The twin gods put Ares back on the floor and left the nectar and ambrosia next to him. They began fighting the giants with numerous weapons, swords, spears, bow and arrows, and yet they were losing badly. The giants were very close to beating the twins into submission. This was all they could do as gods could not be killed. The giants were about to deliver what to a mortal would be a killing blow, when a sword shot through the air and through Ephialtes' head, killing him instantly. Otus, Apollo and Artemis turned to see where it had come from. Stood there, glowing with Olympian light, was Ares. He was now clutching a spear, which he threw in the direction of Otus. It hit him in the chest, where his heart was, and killed him as well. Ares had awoken and consumed more ambrosia and nectar, just in time to get his strength back before the giants had time to defeat Apollo and Artemis. Together, they went back to Olympus, where they were greeted with a crying Hera and an emotional Zeus. Because of his brute strength and carnal instinct, Ares was proclaimed the god of war and bloodlust. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it interesting and informative, please like and comment with ideas for future videos. If you found this video enjoyable, please hit the subscribe button. You are all helping keeping classics alive, and for this I am thankful. If you would like to show your support further, I now have a Twitter account for this channel, which I will be leaving a link to in the description below. My next video will be about the birth of Apollo and Artemis, and I will be trying something new for that. Once again, thank you for watching. I will see you next time on the Mythology Manifest.